This is the video review for the Transformers Generations Fall of Cybertron Deluxe Class Brawl figure of the Combaticons. And of the Combaticons, he is easily the worst figure. The first problem I have with him is his color scheme. I like the green, and I like the paint apps he does have, but the paint apps just don't offer enough contrast. Like the silver here just blends right into the green. The purple's nice, but this is the only instance of purple, and so is the yellow, but it's the only instance of yellow. It's got some black too, but there's just not enough of it, so the figure ends up being just kind of a sea of green, which, that's not horrible, but compared to the other figures which have really interesting color schemes like Onslaught here, it just makes them look very bland, and it's another knock against the figure, and the figure already has a lot of problems. Like, for example, he has a big backpack. It's not even really a cohesive backpack. Now, I don't mind the gun because you can pose him with the gun like this, like he's bending over to shoot it, and that's not bad. And I like how they give you the ability to make him look up so that it's not just he's looking at the ground while you're posing him like that. But the problem is his backpack is very heavy, it doesn't have much of a heel, and nothing really locks in here either, it's just the tightness of the joints. And then the worst part of the backpack is the combiner port just sticks out here. That wouldn't be too much of an issue, except, well, it is an issue, but you can see it between his legs, which just detracts from an already suffering robot mode. And then the final problem is, he does not like to stand. Because he doesn't have much of a heel and he has a huge backpack, he falls over very easily. So what you have to do is you have to hunch him over forward, but then he'll fall over forward. And the reason for that is because, and I would say this is a quality control issue on mine, except I've seen other reviews where people are complaining about this, but this joint right here is super loose. So, to get him to stand better, you need to tighten this joint, and then just make sure it's always at an angle like this so he can lean forward. So, I would say that his inability to stand straight up would be a big issue, except that because of the overall design of the figure, he's kind of meant to be hunched over for the gun. The gun is the only saving grace for his inability to stand up straight. As for weapons, he has this little gun, but compared to the cannon on his back, it just looks tweedly. It'll fit in his hand, or you can fit it onto his backpack here. Now, I won't put it in because all the way, because it's hard to get out, but that's what it looks like. It doesn't really add anything, it's just a decent place to store it in vehicle mode. Now for articulation, so articulation is quite nice. Legs go forward, back, in, out. Rotate above the knee bends quite a bit, the toe bends, in this range it's just a bit too loose to do anything with it. The arms rotate around, almost 360, except it bumps into the shoulder bit here. The arms go in and out, you have a ball jointed elbow, the fist can go up and down, and you even get some motion like this in the shoulder, which is, it's not bad. I like when Transformers do pectoral articulation because it's not something you see very often, and you can get some nice poses out of it. I don't know that this figure is really the best figure to have them, but it is nice to have them. And then his neck is really nice because you can look way up, which is nice for the gun. You can look down. There's a little bit side to side, and it can rotate around. The only problem is that it's hard to get your fingers in there, especially if you're like me and you have big, meaty hands. So yeah, that's his robot mode. It's pretty weak. I'm not in love with it. It has a lot of problems. Some of them can be fixed, but there you go. Now for the transformation, first thing you do, push the head down, rotate the hands up, and then you'll bring the arms straight up like this, and they'll meet with the top of the shoulder. And then what you want to do is fold them in like this so they'll be out of the way. Then take his torso, pull it down until it clicks, fold the feet up, rotate the legs up. You want to make sure that the thigh bit here fits into here, because if it's at an angle like this, it won't go in quite right. And then there's a little tab on each of them, of each of the legs right here, that will plug into a little slot under this piece here. It's hard to see. Anyway, you'll do that. Squeeze it together. And then you'll bring these up. There's a little tab here in the slot here. Bring them up. And you'll make sure this right here fits over here. do the same to the other side. And then this is the part that I always hate, which is taking this part here, and there are little slots here and here that go onto tabs here and here. And it's just always hard to do. In fact, I'm not even going to bother with doing it. Just, actually, I don't think I'll ever bother with doing it again, because it doesn't really look more cohesive, and you risk breaking the tabs. Although, the only purpose of the tabs is to hold this down. And then you just fold this down. And here you have the hover tank. Now, I like this vehicle mode. It's not, well, before I get into the vehicle mode, the transformation is kind of boring. It's just not satisfying or fun like the others. I mean, even Onslaught, who has a very weird vehicle mode, has a fun transformation. This transformation is just fold up the legs and tab the arms into them. It's very boring. But on to the vehicle mode. I do like the general idea of the vehicle mode. It's a nice looking hover tank. There's not much to say about it except that it looks kind of nice. You can rotate around, look up and down, and that's about it. What I don't like about it is that, again, compared to the other vehicles of the, I don't have any of the others transform right now, but compared to the other Combaticons, his vehicle mode is very under-detailed and kind of boring, and just the pure sea of green doesn't help much. Excuse me. Now, to transform into his leg mode, well, I don't like this figure, but his leg mode is actually quite nice. He is one of the better limbs for Bruticus. So you'll fold the fists out like this, bring the arms around like this on the bicep, no, not bicep, pectoral joint. Then rotate the tank head around. There's a little clip right here that'll clip onto there. Bring it down and clip it into place. Then what you do is you'll bend this down, and there are little slots here and here, and tabs here and here. You'll push those together. And then there are little tabs here and here, and slots here and here. You'll tab those together, and then you rotate up the combiner port. And this is his leg mode. And I like this leg mode. It's nice and solid, has a nice heel, and a heel that can pose, so it can really support him depending on, like, if you need an angled foot, or just a foot that's pushed more forward. So I really like how the hands work on this. I really like how solid it is. I like how there's a lot more transformation than Swindle and Vortex do. It's a nice foot. He is one of the better limbs of Bruticus. So, as far as just the figure on its own, not very good, not worth the purchase. But as far as being a good limb for Bruticus, he is actually quite a nice figure. So, I won't say he's an all-bad figure. He has his up points, especially when you see him as part of a greater whole. So, he is recommended for the Bruticus set, just not on his own. However, there are some figures like Vortex, Blastoff, and Swindle who are all worth it just on their own. So, take that as you will. If you want to get a completed Bruticus set, definitely get this guy on his own. No need to worry about it. So, yeah, I reviewed Transformers, Power Ranger stuff, just a lot of stuff. If any of that sounds interesting, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.